We have a feast before us today in the gift of the Beatitudes. There's a lot happening here. The Beatitudes begin the Sermon on the Mount, which is the best homily, at least the one that's recorded, that Jesus ever preached. From a Jewish perspective, though, there's a lot of things that are happening here I want to share with you so that you can appreciate their vantage point. Remember that Moses, having led the people through the desert, Moses having been in the desert with them, they eventually arrive at Mount Sinai. And it is there that Moses immediately goes up and he encounters God and he starts to teach the law to the people. So this is the first time the people of God as a people are receiving the law that is going to totally change their life. And so a Jewish perspective would see the same pattern. The Sermon on the Mount, and particularly with the Beatitudes, is in Matthew chapter 5. Well, in Matthew chapter 4, Jesus is in the desert. That's where he's wrestling with the devil. So after the desert experience, Jesus then goes up a mountain and he turns around, sits down, and he starts to offer them the law of the new covenant. So the Mosaic imagery is all over the place here. Except when Moses is giving them the law, a law that is filled with a promise of blessings and curses, and Jesus is doing the same. This whole sermon is going to be filled with blessings and curses depending on their fidelity to it. The aim or the scope of each of those are very different. And so this is where the similarities start to break down and the departure point becomes more clear. The law of Moses made the people of God servants of God. And the servants of God benefited by that relationship from many, many blessings. But the blessings that they were given were temporal in scope. So if they obeyed the law of God, they would experience a flourishing as a society. They would never want for anything. There would be an abundance of resources. They would never go hungry. They would never have to thirst. But if they were unfaithful to God, these things would become curses to them. So poverty, hunger, thirsting, and oppression, and all kinds of things like ailments and misfortunes would be signs of their infidelity to God. But for Christ, he flips that whole thing. And what was a curse for the Israelite is a blessing. Blessed are the poor. Blessed are they who mourn. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. He's using this language because it's meant to be jarring to his audience. He's not really invoking, but he's using the language of the curses, the very thing that they were meant to avoid. But see, where they were aiming at temporal goods, which from Jesus' perspective are temporal, they're passing. The scope of the promises in the new covenant is the kingdom of heaven. So the first beatitude begins, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, not a kingdom of earth. And in order to possess that kingdom, it is not enough for you to be a servant. You must become a son. And a son is what is achieved by the law of the new covenant, something that the law of Moses could never have accomplished. And so what does it mean to be a son, but to forsake the temporal goods for the sake of a greater good, which is our Father, who will bestow on us in our fidelity a kingdom, which will far surpass any sacrifice we have to make in this life. But it's going to take sacrifice to get it. So blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, because all is not as it should be. Something is wrong in the world. They will be comforted because they will be on Mount Zion with the Father who will wipe every tear from our eyes, as Isaiah will go on to say. Blessed are the meek, meaning those who are in total possession and control of their passions, that aren't overrun, that can take the hits, process them without retaliation. they will inherit the land because they will be unconquerable. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness. They will be satisfied because at the end of the day, God wins and righteousness rules in his kingdom. But then after that, we get the qualities of the Son. Blessed are the merciful. And you can hear Jesus from the cross crying out, Father, forgive them. They know not what they're doing. Blessed are the clean of heart, meaning those who, within full integrity of their person, all of their faculties are oriented towards God, like Jesus who sets his face like flint to Jerusalem. Blessed are the peacemakers. Right? We can see Jesus in all of this showing us that if we want to inherit a kingdom, we have to become a son. And if we want to know what it means to be a son, we have to follow the Son who shows us. And in these Beatitudes, we then learn we have to stop desiring primarily the gifts of God, but the one who gives them, God himself.